Yeah, this is Bang Bang Hill. I've just been talking to a couple of my mates out there about the Wembley lot, yeah? Bertie Smalls, Jimmy Wilkinson, Dave Delaney, Mickey Green, Brian Turner, all them sort of people, yeah? Um, just talking about Mickey Green, really, at the minute. Mickey Green, I was in Chelsea with Mickey Green in 75, 76, going up to, I think it's going up to when the fire was, yeah? Mickey Green was a nice guy, but he had a guy in called Tony Edlin. Him and Tony Edlin were very good mates. So I'm a bit upset with Mickey Green, yeah, because when Mickey Green left prison, he was going to look after Tony. Him and Tony Edlin was really close, yeah. They was 24/7, right next to each other, cells, always there every day, cooking, do everything together, yeah. And when Mickey Green got out, he pushed up Tony Edlin to one side, which ain't nice, you know what I mean? Because Tony Edlin was a proper nice guy, a proper dangerous guy, yeah. Mickey Green talked about Bertie Smalls when I was in their company about Bertie Smalls, saying that Bertie Smalls had a lot of respect from everybody on the Wembley lot. He was the governor as such, Bertie Smalls, and he was a very hard man. And when he went to Supergrass, Mickey Green says to me there was a big conflict about Supergrass at that time because there was two of them on the company that looked like going dodgy. I ain't saying who they were, but Bertie Smalls was one of them, yeah. And Bertie Smalls was the second one. Mickey Green said he was the second one to get in, but Bertie Smalls said a little bit more than the first one, and he was just become the first Supergrass in them times. Then there was Gervais, wasn't there? Gervais, Mahoney. I mean, it just spread. But Mickey Green was. Mickey Green was a nice guy. Mickey Green was a nice guy. I know he let Tony Edlin down, but he was a nice guy. He never caused no problems. Even though he could, he didn't. He was always in the car school with Ronnie Bender and Jimmy Tibbet and all that little firm. Jimmy Tibbs and all that little firm. He was always doing his car school. Nice guy. Had a lot of respect for him. When he talked, I tell you what, he didn't get on with Frankie Fraser. I don't know, a lot of people didn't get on with Frank. I don't know if it's because Frank was, I don't know, Frank was involved with the Richardsons as well as the Crays. It was a little bit two-faced in that respect. So Mickey Green never got on with him at all. I didn't see Mickey Green talking to Fraser. He was just walking by him and never even nodded at each other. Tony Lawrence, I see Tony Lawrence and Mickey Green having a little chat together sometimes, even though they didn't talk that much, yeah. But Mickey with Ronnie Bender, even though Ronnie Bender was the craze, I mean, Ronnie Bender and Mickey Green was always having a laugh, or when in the car school having a drink. It doesn't seem possible that you're in prison and you're sitting down drinking scotch, vodka, gin, Bacardi. That's what it was like in Chelsea. When I've had a few couple of screws who do my comments saying to me, it never happened. It did happen, and that's why Chelsea prison went so smooth. There was never any problems in Chelsea prison. Only at that time with George Wilkinson when he smashed the television room up and the telly up and all that, and I was looking after him, and I'm in a book called Fighting for Your Life with George Wilkinson, yeah. But Mickey Green, was quite a good footballer, believe it or not. He was quite a good footballer, played a lot of football, always kept himself fit, always running around the yard. Him and Tony Edlin, never, they was always running, and they always, Mickey Green was absolutely Keiko, admitted. He was a minted man. I think it was one of the richest men around at that time in Chelsea prison, and he was buying steaks, lamb, beef, pork every day off Jimmy Tibbs, Jimmy Tibbs, the old man Tibbsy. he was a gentleman, mate. He was a diamond, you know what I mean? He was a big man, mate. He was massive, yeah. He didn't want to have an argument with him, mate. He would completely crush her. His hands are twice as big as mine. He would crush you like a grape. Tibbs, the old man Tibbs. Young Jim was always fit, very fit. A couple of times he'd been playing rugby, but he wasn't really into his rugby, more or less into his football. But young Jimmy Tibbs, well, I say young, he was older than me, a little bit older than me, but he could really march on, mate. I mean, you see him even just shadow boxing in around the ring and down outside in the green and all that, just shadow boxing, doing plenty of skipping. One good thing about Chelmsford Prison, yeah, Chelmsford Prison was right into the gym thrown out, yeah. It's the only nick, really, that I've ever been to where they got a gym. He had a gym outside. I mean, the governor and the deputy governor in Chelmsford Prison was just for the cons. They were for the convicts, mate. They give them whatever they wanted. Seriously, they give them whatever they wanted. Didn't have problems. To have our gym outside, big bit of concrete, massive bit of concrete. They put one in metal sheds out there, you know, full of weights. And I'd go out there most weekends if I wasn't playing rugby and be on the weights. Yeah? I loved it, mate. You'd be out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, training in the sunshine and all that, doing the weights. Even in the winter, you could train out there and you know. But when I was playing rugby was a winter sport. I love my rugby, mate. I mean, Mickey Blackmore and all them people. I mean, Mickey Blackmore was a fantastic rugby player, fantastic manager of the team. He managed the team. Roy Atkins, another one, fantastic player. Both of them got shot in Holland. Roy Atkins as well as Mickey Blackmore. There was some fantastic rugby players in Chelmsford Prison. When I say that, I mean, I know that only maybe we've had one team come in that it was their first team and they just bashed us up, was the Wasps when they come in. They come in with their first team and their second team, and we played their second team quite a few times, and it was a good game. The first team come in and just walked over us, but it was learning club, you know, we learned from them. We played Saracens, London Saracens. We played a team called Gray's Inn. Gray's Inn was mostly solicitors and barristers. People think they're because they're very posh people. But rugby, believe it or not, rugby is their game. Rugby is that high society, middle class people's game. It's like what they're brought up to play that game, yeah. And they're really good rugby players, really good players. I mean, even though we beat them, they give us a good turnout. I mean, I think the hooker was about 18 stone, 19 stone. To have a hooker, 19 stone, imagine what the props are like. They was massive, and they're the ones that knocked my teeth out, you know. And I had to have all screws put anyway, but they're the ones that smashed my mouse to pieces, that little firm, you know. But I mean, as far as rugby is concerned, we had a geezer in there, black guy. I mean, I've been trying to find this black guy, Clarence Carr. So might be some people that know him. This Clarence Carr was, I mean, every rugby team that come in wanted him big time to play for them. He was like so fast on the wing. He could get that rugby ball, mate, and he had us behind him as following up, yeah. But he didn't need it, mate. He was really good, and if anybody, I mean, the target was him. I mean, he was the target, and they wanted him bad because he was the one who was causing all the problems and causing all the tries, and he was, the one they wanted to bash, and we made sure that we was behind him, mate. Even if you was like 20 yards behind him, we made sure when we got to him that whoever put him down, they got it, mate. They got it big time, and I've seen loads of people get hurt that game. loads of people, because in Chelmsford, as a rugby team, we used to fight. Had a few fights in the army in there, toe punch ups, you know what I mean? Yeah, and like it's just allowed, isn't it? It's just allowed. Sometimes you like being that you're a con, being that you're in a wing, being that you're confined to having a fight. You know what I mean? It's not easy to have a fight in prison without getting yourself nicked and losing remission and all that sort of thing. So when you get on a rugby field, you're free. You know what I mean? You're free to have a fight, and it's it's good. And when we used to have fights with some of these army people that come in and played, it was always good fights. Always good fights. I mean, I was a battering ram, yeah. I was like 19 stone, massive, you know what I mean. And I was a battering ram, really. And they'd always give me the ball, mate. And when I got that ball to run over the line, there wasn't a lot of people who could stop me, you know. I was bashing them, smashing them down, you know what I mean, like 10 pins, mate. But I loved it. I loved my rugby. I can't play football. I can't play football to save my life. I tell you what, I was good at backgammon. I'll tell you what, I was good at backgammon. A lot of people, when I was in the Mount, yeah, my mate Fish, had a row with a guy, with an Arabic guy. I forget his name, mate. You know, I'm terrible with names. But this Arabic guy, he was fantastic at backgammon. He was learning me how to play backgammon. Big time, yeah. Always covered a 6 up and all that, you know. I mean, he was really good at what he was doing, showing me. And I used to bet in Mars bars and bounties, and I used to always take them off me, yeah. But that time, I mean, I told it before, that time Fish was pissed off with him for what he was saying about Fish. And Fish went upstairs and battered him. He's a lad, Fish. Fish is a nice guy. Fish does his bird the easy way. He does it how he wants to do it. No one can tell Fish how to do his sentence. Fish does it his own way. Fish comes out in the morning, always laughing. I remember being in Wandsworth with Fish, and he'd come out in themselves every morning, just joking, laughing, shirt off, joking about, shouting about. Screws was just letting him carry on doing what he was doing, because they couldn't control him as such. He was such a nice guy to do your bird with, even though he was gay, but he only was gay with people that wanted to be round him in that way, yeah. But he was just a proper gentleman, yeah. Fish, I love Fish. I loved him. Whenever he went, wherever I was with Fish, and he trained, he'd run around the yard. Fish would run around that yard 24/7. He would run for an hour solid. Kept running around the yard, an hour solid. That's going some. Not so much running around, but getting giddy running around. And a lot of people who come unstuck with Fish, a lot of people will think because he's gay, but he's 100% fit, very strong man. He's not weak, very, very strong, and he can fight, mate. He can fight, Fish. He can fight. There's a lot of gay people. Craze. Look at them. They could fight, mate. Good boxers. One turned pro. I think it was Ronnie that turned pro. People were going to comment me and say no, it's Reg, but I'm not quite sure. But they're both good fighters, both gay, both dangerous people, mate. Those both very dangerous. I was in Albany with a guy called Billy McGee. Billy McGee, nicknamed Mary, because of certain reasons. And Mary, just normal, gay, good-looking, breasts guy, but dangerous. Chopped security guard's hand off to get the bag. That's how dangerous. And when George Cockle took advantage of the fact that this Mary, Billy McGee, was so thought that Billy McGee was so weak, he took advantage of it and tried to have a gangbang with him. And because of that reason, Billy McGee and George Cockle had a fight in the wood mill, and Billy McGee stabbed him 16 times with 2 quarter-inch chisels and killed him. You know, I was there, I had to go to court, and yeah, it's like, there was another one in there called Janice, same. Very dangerous people, because they're gay. You've got to remember, they've got women's thing about them, you know, it's the gay thing that they've got, but they've got the strength of men, you know, the power of a man, you know what I mean? Even though they're gay, they're men anyway, but they've got that woman's nastiness, but they still got that power of a man. And people forget that, and they come unstuck, you know. And there was a few in Albany, loads in it, because the wing I was on was called the married quarters, you know, and you can imagine, can't you? I mean, when I was only there a little bit of time, and the guy on the 4s, or the 3s, set light to his own cell. I mean, come on, you've got to be some sort of nut to do that. Set a light to his own cell by his mattress. But the only thing was that the mattresses in them days didn't have no fireproof thing on them, so they go up, yeah. So when it set light to the like a thing wrapped around it, like a blanket or sheet what was wrapped around it, the cover, it set light. And it set light to the mattress, and the mattress went up. And they couldn't get that gay guy out of the cell, and burnt to death. By the time they come up from the main wing, from the main where the gate lodges, to come up with the keys, guy was dead. You know, too late. Not dead, but was going to die. And when they eventually got the cell open, too late, mate. The guy just went out the cell and run out all footprints all over the floor. All over the floor, mate. And everybody was banged up. Everyone was screaming and shouting, going mad. Didn't unlock anybody. I was downstairs when it happened. I never see it, but everybody was on that side, could see the cell going up, you know, and all the flames coming out the windows, and the guy screaming, and you can imagine, can't you, the people on that spur, this guy was screaming, like, get me out, I'm dying, you know, and that's exactly what he was saying, or she was saying, you know, get me out, a bit like a woman, yeah. I'm dying, I'm a light. Please get me out, I'm dying, I'm a light. And no one could get her out, or him out, yeah. And they was all trying, they couldn't do it. And by the time they did get him out, or her out, or whatever, he was dead, mate. He run across the landing, dead. And I've seen another one, Jackie. Names are getting there. Swiss Jackie, long hair, looked like something out of Batman, the Penguin out of Batman. Big nose, no hair down here, little fat dumpy thing. Because it was getting out to be shipped out to a decat, it was getting decated, done a lot, so much, been in prison most of its life. Now they want to put it to a decat, fell in love with another guy. The other guy was like a bodyguard, but he's in love with her as such, or him as such. And then Jackie, what she do? Jump, cut her wrists, back of her legs, arms, everything. And put wedges under the door, and wanted to die because it was going to be moved from her boyfriend. And they couldn't get it out. I mean, in the end, she knew, or he knew, Jackie, that he was going to die. I mean, he done it for sympathy, really, to try and help him out, stuck to stay there. But he didn't do no good, because they couldn't open the door, because the wedges got stuck, the nails and everything under the door, no one could get in. So me and Johnny Bowie, we had to get upstairs. I was doing that work in that cell, the one that burnt the cell out, and we had to get Acro from that cell down here, and Acro the door for opposite, and it come out of there, mate. It was nearly dead, lost so much blood. The arms was just pissing with blood, and the legs and everything, and nearly died. But for the grace of God, saved its life. But the only thing about Albany Prison, it didn't really have a hospital. And so anything like that, you'd have to be shipped to Parkhurst to get looked at, you know what I mean? Because Parkhurst had a big hospital in there, you know? So obviously, so that's where it went. By the time you get there, it's like you're dead. Even though it's only 200 yards down from Albany, or a bit more than that, you still got to come down security gates and all this crap and everything, and people got to sign the book and phone calls and all that. By the time you get out the nick, it's an hour later. Well, you can imagine, can't you? So, you know, and I've seen a lot of bad things in there. You know, people being stabbed up. People being done with hot water, with soap, with salt in, and with sugar. You know, and people being stabbed up. I mean, I was stabbed up, but I didn't went to the hospital. But I'm not stabbed up, cut up, yeah. But you to survive in prison, mate, it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, you survive because you're strong. You know what I mean? Now it's about drugs. People just take drugs and just survive through taking drugs. But in my days, it was the fittest, yeah? You survive because you're fit and because you've got to be able to fight, you know? And that's how it was. You know, you come out your cell, you never knew when it was going to happen. You never knew when it was going to kick off, you know? And you had to be on the ball. You know, people just walk up behind you, mate, and put it. The amount of people I've seen get stabbed in the back with a pencil, a pen, or even a plastic knife, you know. Very rarely you see people coming in with blades, actual blades. They do make them. They make them in the wood mill, yeah, a wood blade, you know, wood knife. You got the other geezer try to stab me in my cell. You know, the cell opened up. It was only because of the wedge under the door and the nail that he never got in. He tried to stab me with a plastic knife, you know, and that, you get stabbed with one of them, mate, a plastic knife, it's all sharpened up, done the business, it kills you, stone dead. It's still a knife, you know what I mean? And yeah, I've seen people get cut really bad with usually these pineapple tins, the lid of a pineapple tin, you know. And when people cut them with something else, the way they get it, it's all really jagged, and they put it in soap, mate, bar of soap, and that can do some terrible damage. They've done it, sort of good done it to Tom Leslie, the rapist. They cut him in about inch, maybe a little bit less, from his top of his ear all the way down to his lip, you know. And fair play, even though he was, he's a massive, powerful guy. Didn't grass him up, did not say anything about who did it or nothing like that. But when he actually come back, they put him back on the wing as well, back on the same wing. But when he come back on the same wing, the guys that done it to him, he absolutely ripped them apart, physically. Ripped them apart. He ripped all the fucking arms out, and you know, just tore the joints to pieces. And they was in such a state, mate. You know, that I don't suppose they'd ever walk proper again or be able to do their arm. But he was such a big, powerful guy. Powerful. I'm on about really, really powerful, really strong, really big physique, proper powerful, mate. All day. I mean, at night times, I used to train with this guy. I mean, I'm saying that I used to train with this guy. I was training with this guy, and at night times, when he was banged up, he used to use springs as well, and he showed me doing press-ups. We used to do press-ups on books and press-ups like that, stack books up high and go right to the floor and come up, you know. I couldn't do one book, now about 10 books, you know. Yeah, we used to do all these silly things after the gym, after we've had a good workout, come back and do that sort of workout, yeah. And to think, like, people, I've seen people watching television, sitting down watching telly, and the next thing you know, it's off, yeah? Someone comes behind them, stabs them in the neck with a pencil, or over the top with a pencil or a pen. You know, a pen or a pencil is a bad weapon. I mean, to go on the television, to go in the cinema, which is in the gym, I used to go in there sometimes with with books round my waist, tied up books, because thinking someone's going to plunge you. Because I used to fight a few people in there, and because I used to fight a few people and bash them up, and not bash them up, not only with my fists, yeah. But then people don't let loose, mate, and you're sitting there, and they come up, and that's one good thing about when I used to go to the cinema. 9 times out of 10, even in the summertime, it's weird. Summertime, right? You see people, me the same, wear an overcoat, one of the overcoats, prison overcoat, yeah, overcoat, double jacket underneath, overcoat at the top, and books around your body to get so you don't get stabbed up. Yeah, it's boiling hot out there. You know what I mean? Look at boiling hot. How about the guys who got on the roof? Big Johnny Patton. I mean, Big John, Irish John, and Johnny Patton. When they got on that roof, mate, with about 9 of them, and they Johnny Patton, he nearly died, mate. He'd done all his kidneys, his liver, everything, because the sun, it burned it to death, and I can never remember it. I can never forget this, mate. This is sort of like, it's engraved in stone, you know what I mean? The day I was there, and we're walking around the yard, mate, and Big John was in the kitchen with me. Geezer's 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", big, powerful weightlifter, so training on the gym with us, big guy. I mean, he was a big, massive guy with a beard. He worked on the coppers in Albany, and always drinking milk, nice guy. Always running around, flying around. And when he was running that yard, mate, he was running around the yard, about 4 or 5 of them, crash in seconds, crash. Also, Big John was the first one to go across the yard. That time there was no fence around the yard. First time I went there, no fence. Went down the hill, up the drain pipe, onto the ceiling. And then another one, and 2, 3 more, 5. That 6 all went up there, mate. And they was all prepared. They was all knew what they was doing. They had rope, bits of string, rope, and things like that. They were up there so they could lower the rope down to people. I mean, it was all the same. Everybody in Albany at that time knew they was on the roof. And when they come down the line had come down the window, and everybody, I would say this, everybody from A wing to E wing would give them something: milk, coffee, tea bags, Mars bars, everything that was got. Yeah, mate, really looked after them. I mean, they had everything they wanted. The only thing they never had was shade. That is the only thing that killed them, mate, was the shade. It was the hottest summer ever, 1976. And when they got on that roof, mate, it was baking. I remember that there was an advert, big advertising thing on the paper. I think it was the Sun, one of them papers. It could have been News of the World or something like that. At that time, News of the World was still about, where they had a helicopter, and Big John's face. It was like King Kong pulling the helicopter out of the sky. Yeah, because they was on the gym roof, the helicopter up there, and they made an advert of it, like a cartoon of it, yeah. And it was fantastic, and they was more frightened than the helicopter getting too low to where they were, yeah, and talking to them on the mic about, why are you there, and this, that, and the other. That's what he was doing. Helicopters of papers over the top of the gym. Big John McDonald, Johnny Patton. There was a lot more forgetting their names, all on it, but I know Johnny Patton and Big John, so that's why I remember it. Another Irish guy, I forget his name. And there was and the helicopter was up there, and they was talking to him, why are you here? What's the reason? And John was saying this, and the other one was saying that, and Johnny Patton had no reason to get up there. Johnny Patton. I love Johnny Patton. He's a strong, mate. He's not strong strength-wise, weights, but strong heart. He'd be there. You could always rely on him, If you wanted someone to be with you, he was with you, yeah? And he was like, the guy was a diamond, yeah? And when he got on the roof, Big John, he got on the roof and a few other got Johnny Patton with him for no reason. Just went up there, didn't even know, just went up there to be with them, yeah. And he was one of the first ones up with John, and he was the last one down. When all the others come down, they come down because from the gym to the wings, you have to jump off the gym roof, which is about a couple of feet, jump off there onto the flat roof, and then up onto the wing roofs. Yeah, lower your string down and get all your bits and pieces. So what the screws did, they couldn't get them down. So what they did, they come along with all sorts of screws, shields and everything. They couldn't get onto they didn't want to get onto the gym roof just in case it caused too much problems, a row up there and people fell off it. And they would have done it, but everybody was watching. So what they done, they got barbed wire and scaffolding, got zigzag like that, and all the wire in it, so they couldn't get off the gym roof to get onto the wings to get water or to get food. So in the end, they had to come down because they was all dehydrated. And they stayed up there as long as they could without water. They stayed up there as long as they could without food. Because it was the hottest summer of the year, 1976, they all got burnt. Unbelievable. They come down there black. Honestly, I'm on about black. They come down there burnt as crisps. Johnny Patton stayed up there another 2 days. But this, he come down, was burnt to death, done all his livers, done all his kidneys, and then they put me in Parkhurst, and got in Parkhurst, was down the block for quite some time, I believe, and they shipped him on the wing. He got involved with another guy who had a card school, the guy with the card school, that him and Johnny Patton got together. Johnny Patton was a right proper man, mate, honestly. Get involved with anything, he's not frightened of the system. And Johnny Patton got involved with this guy on the card school, and the guy in the card school thought that Johnny Patton was a complete mug, wanker, and what did he do? Try to make sure Johnny Patton didn't get the money that he was supposed to get, because he was playing cards, poker, and he was getting paid by tobacco, other things, and also money put in people's private cash. And Johnny Patton the guy mugged Johnny Patton for lots of tobacco and bits and pieces. Johnny Patton found out and said to the guy, "You better give me, you're going to get hurt." The guy, then Scottish guy, I believe, I'm not quite sure, pulled out a blade. He said, "I'm going to kill you, Johnny Patton." Johnny Patton went off, and then Johnny Patton got someone to go in the kitchen to get a boning knife, and Johnny give it to Johnny Patton. The nick was shut down for 2 days. Looked trying to find the knife, couldn't find it. Johnny Patton had it somewhere, they couldn't find it, and Johnny Patton come along after that and just stabbed the guy to death, and got a life in prison. And where he wound up Wakefield, in a metal cage next door to the other fellow, what's his name? I forget his name now. The bald-headed one who's been in prison for all his life. What's his name? Anyway, and he's been in prison with him, and and Johnny. I don't know if Johnny Patton is still there. I believe, yeah. And I like John. Heart of gold, strong, powerful man in that respects. Anyway, look, I can go on and on and on. I've got to go out, but this is Bang Bang Whale. Please like and subscribe. And good afternoon. Nice one.